Move up here so there's not a great gulf. Their progress here. So yeah, I will get done. I'm only going to preach for at least an hour and a half. So I got all this stuff last week sometime and thought it would be gone before I got here, and it wasn't. So we went to Walgreens today, so hopefully tomorrow it will be getting better. So if I have to stop and take a drink of water or something, please forgive me. But we'll see how far we get. I'm Ben Hayes. I am the pulpit minister in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. If any of you have ever heard of Muscle Shoals, there was a lot of music that was recorded in Muscle Shoals back in the day. Still a little bit today. I live right down the road from Fame Studios and Muscle Shoals Sound, where Aretha Franklin and the Rolling Stones and a bunch of people recorded back in the day. It's just a little small town, but for some reason there's a lot of music there. So that's where our congregation is, and a lot of our kids and adults are helping out this week with Vacation Bible School. We're having a blast in Munford. Out this week with Vacation Bible School, we're having a blast in Munford. So we appreciate you guys letting us be here. We're going to be talking about some stories from the Bible that are related to outdoors. They're kind of a camping theme, and we're using that to kind of launch talking about some of the different stories. So you might remember the story of Jesus being tempted in the wilderness. That's what the kids are going to be talking about today. That's what we will be talking about some, and we're also going to talk about some other things that I think are very important for us in the church, very important for us as adults to know and to understand about God's Word. There's a song that you might have heard before on the radio. It says, lie number one, you're supposed to have it all together. And when they ask you how you're doing, you smile and say, never better. Lie number two, everybody's life is perfect except yours, so keep your messes and your wounds and your secrets safe with you behind closed doors. So I don't know if you've heard that song or not, but there are a couple of lies that sometimes go around that, hey, we're supposed to have it all together, and we're supposed to be good, and there's not supposed to be any problems. And a lot of people think that that's the way it is when they walk into church, or that's the reason they don't want to walk into church, because everybody at church has it all together. Is that true or false? It's false, because we don't have it all together. The guy standing in front of you doesn't have it all together. Everybody sitting in the pews with you doesn't have it all together. And the more we keep things closed, and the more we keep those doors closed to letting people in and knowing what some of those struggles are, we're doing an injustice not only to ourselves, but we're doing an injustice to the others who might walk in these doors. I work as a minister, but I also work as a counselor. I've been a counselor now for over 10 years. I have a private practice, and I also work at a school with a lot of kids. So my daily life is usually ministry and working with kids like the ages of these down here. I do chapel with them. I talk with them. I meet with them individually. I meet with them as a group. And so I do all those things. So we're going to talk a little bit tonight, not only about temptation. We're going to kind of work it into the thoughts of Jesus and the temptations, but we're also going to talk a little bit about mental illness. We're going to talk a little bit about, the struggles that we sometimes have. So when we think about mental health concerns or mental illness, we think about the struggles that people have in this life. Where did those come from? And by the way, I like to ask questions and you respond. So I'm fine if you want to talk, if you want to ask a question. But where do those things come from? Where do mental illnesses or struggles like that come from? Okay, trauma. Sometimes it's from things that people have been through. Sometimes it's inherited. There are some things sometimes that we have that, a lot of times your doctors, when you come in to a doctor's appointment, they'll say, do you have a history of, do you have a family history of? And that can be physical, like diabetes. That can be mental, like depression and bipolar and things like that sometimes people struggle with. So we've got trauma, things that have happened to you. We've got some things that maybe passed down, family line. What else? What? Was that an answer to me? Was that somebody back there? I thought I heard another answer. I'm sorry. So there's a lot of different things, but here's what the real answer is. And all of those are true, but the real answer is it started in the garden, didn't it? It really started in the garden. It's really kind of Satan's doing. It's the things that happened then, but we'll get to that in just a second. But let's talk about this. How many people in the Bible can you think of or can you name that might have struggles, might have some things where we can see, man, they struggled with some mental concerns, mental health concerns, mental health, however you want to say it. Who are some people you think about? Saul. Saul had that spirit that would come upon him, and he would throw the spear at David, and David's trying to just play a song, and he's throwing a spear at him, and Saul would have these moments, and he wrote some amazing songs when he was depressed. Okay, and that's what people do. A lot of your artists, a lot of those guys, they write them in these emotional fits. It's a break. How many songs has Taylor Swift written about a guy that she broke up with? Right? I mean, we're all waiting on her to break up with Kelsey so that we can get a great hit song about an NFL player. Anyway, so you got all these different things that people, when they're in those emotional states, they write wonderful things. See, our emotions do some pretty crazy stuff. They can do some really amazing things. In fact, a lot of your major artists that we love, that we listen to all the time, a lot of that we grew up listening to, a lot of them were teenagers. Aerosmith were teenagers when they first started their band. They were young guys. Taylor Swift, you got a lot of others. Elvis, they were young and they had these emotions that are up and down, and they wrote some amazing songs. So you've got some of those things, and so David wrote some psalms when he was really frustrated. He wrote some psalms when he was really happy. And so you've got a lot of different emotions that may be going up and down. What else? Who else? Who else do you think of that had some concerns? Struggles. A lot of the kings, right? And some of them, now don't get me wrong, there's some times when we look at it, we go, well, they were just sinful. Yeah, they were. There were some that Saul was sinful, but he also had some things he struggled with. So we have to understand, Jezebel threatens him, and he leaves town, okay? And he just takes one, okay? But Elijah goes a day's journey into the wilderness, and he says, God, it's enough. I'm ready for this life to be over. Just end it for me. He's all depressed. He just had this great victory the day before, or the chapter before. And now he's depressed. Now he's wishing to die. Now he's in this really weird state. So he had some. Samson struggled with some anger and other things. Who do we know that really went through a lot of grief in the Bible? Job, right? And we think about Job and all the stuff he went through. So it's kind of like, we've served God, just let it be over. All alone. He's got low self-esteem. You got all alone. He's got low self-esteem. You got the woman at the well that comes to Jesus. She's coming to Jesus at what time? It says in the 6th hour. And the way they kept up with hours then, yeah, it's about noon. Because 6 in the morning was the start of the day, noontime. How many people walk in the heat of the day to go get something to drink? At a well, not many. Most come in the morning, most come in the evening. But she was coming in the middle of the day. Most people believe she was probably avoiding a lot of people. She didn't want questions. She didn't want to talk to everybody because she was living in a sinful situation, but she was also struggling with things. Sometimes sinful situations put us where we're struggling in mental health, right? Sometimes the things we've done, some of those decisions that we've made. So we talked about trauma, we talked about things that maybe pass down in our family line, but also some of the decisions that we make sometimes lead us to being in a hard place. That doesn't mean we have to stay there, does it? So here's what I want us to talk about for just a few moments. I want us to talk about who did what, okay? So the first thing that I want you, if you're taking notes or if you're just making mental notes, let's talk about what the devil did. Let's talk about the responsibility, because the class they're talking about is the devil tempted Jesus. How many of you have also been tempted by the devil? Please raise your hand, because you all have, okay? Now maybe not. He had brought about anger, what brought about mental illness, what brought about cancer, what brought about all the sin in the world. A lot of people go, why did God create a world with all this bad in it? He didn't. right? He didn't create it that way. He created this really great atmosphere for everybody to live in, this perfect garden, and no offense to the beautiful decorations, but it was much more beautiful than the garden that we're in right now. He created the perfect verses 8 and 9. It kind of describes a little bit legs. Maybe the serpent had legs. Your brethren who are in the world. What he says to him is, your brethren who are in the world. What he says to him is, brethren who are in the world. What he says to him is, Satan is